I knew something was wrong the moment I walked into the boardroom and saw the seating arrangement. My chair, the one I'd sat in for 6 years as Chief Operations Officer, was gone. Not moved. Gone. In its place was a small folding chair positioned at the far end of the table, away from the executive cluster. My husband Christopher sat at the head of the table in his CEO throne, and beside him, in what should have been the COO's seat, sat Natasha from marketing with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. 23 faces turned toward me. Some looked confused. Others looked away quickly. 3 people, my real friends here, looked horrified. "You're late, Gabrielle," Christopher said, his voice cold and professional, nothing like the man who'd kissed me goodbye that morning. Nothing like the man I'd been married to for 7 years. The meeting invitation said 10 o'clock. "It's 9:58, I replied, glancing at my watch. My stomach was doing flips, but I kept my voice steady. "Sit down," he commanded, gesturing to the folding chair. I should have walked out right then. But shock has a way of freezing you in place, making you comply with commands even when every instinct screams danger. I sat. Christopher opened a folder in front of him. "This meeting is to address performance issues within the executive team." Performance issues? We just closed our most profitable quarter ever. I'd personally overseen the merger that brought in $40 million in new contracts. What performance issues? "Gabrielle," he continued, and the way he said my name like I was a stranger made my blood run cold. "Your performance as COO has been under review for the past 3 months. Lies. Complete lies. 3 months. I interrupted. I haven't received any performance reviews. I haven't had any concerns raised. That's part of the problem, Natasha chimed in, her voice syrupy sweet. Your lack of awareness about your own declining performance is concerning. I stared at her. Natasha had been with the company for less than a year. She had no authority to speak about my performance. She barely had authority in her own department. I want to see documentation, I said firmly, looking directly at Christopher. Show me these performance reviews. Show me the metrics you're referencing. Christopher's jaw tightened. He hated being challenged, especially in front of others. Your defensive attitude is exactly what we're talking about. You've become difficult to work with. Resistant to change. Multiple team members have complained. Which team members? I demanded. Let them speak now. Let's address this directly. The room was silent. 23 people, and not one would meet my eyes except for 3. Simone from finance, Brian from legal, and Andre from product development all looked ready to explode. This isn't a negotiation, Gabrielle, Christopher said, his tone final. Effective immediately, you're terminated from your position as Chief Operations Officer. You have 1 hour to clear your personal items from your office. Security will escort you out. The words hit me like a physical blow. Terminated. Fired. By my own husband. In front of the entire executive team. You're firing me? I whispered, my voice breaking despite my best efforts. This is a business decision, he replied, cold as ice. Personal relationships don't factor into professional accountability. Personal relationships. He was talking about our marriage like it was some casual acquaintance. I felt tears burning behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. I refused to give him that satisfaction. This is illegal, Brian said suddenly, standing up from his seat. You can't terminate an executive without cause and without following proper procedures. We have policies. Sit down, Brian, Christopher snapped. This doesn't concern you. It concerns all of us, Simone added, also standing. Gabby built half this company's operational infrastructure. She brought in most of our major clients. This is insane. Anyone who has a problem with this decision can leave with her, Christopher said, his voice rising. I'm not running a democracy. This is my company. Our company, I thought bitterly. I'd worked just as hard as he had to build this. I'd sacrificed just as much. More probably because I'd also been managing our home, our life, everything while he focused on the business. Fine, Andre said, standing up. I'll leave. Me too, Simone declared. And me, Brian added. Then something amazing happened. Like dominoes falling, people started standing up. The head of product design. 3 senior developers. The VP of client relations. The director of human resources. Account managers. Project leads. One by one they stood. Christopher's face went from red to purple. Sit down. All of you sit down right now. But they didn't. They kept standing. I counted them through my tears, which were now falling freely. 20 people. 20 colleagues who were willing to walk away from their jobs for me. You're all fired. Christopher screamed, losing his composure completely. Every single one of you is terminated. You can't fire us all, Brian said calmly. You don't have the operational capacity to replace this many senior staff members. You'll tank the company. Get out. Christopher roared. All of you get out. I stood on shaking legs. The room was spinning, but I held my head high. I looked at Christopher, really looked at him, and saw a stranger. A cruel, calculating stranger who just destroyed our marriage and my career in one move. I'll clear my office, I said quietly. And I'll see you in divorce court. His expression flickered for just a second. Surprise? Regret? I didn't wait to find out. I walked toward the door and my 20 colleagues fell into step behind me. We moved through the office in a silent procession. Other employees stopped working to stare. Whispers started immediately. By the time we reached my office, the entire company knew what had happened. I packed my personal items mechanically. Photos of Christopher went into the trash. Awards I'd earned went into my box. My degrees, my certifications, my personal files. Simone helped me, her face angry and tearful. He's having an affair, she whispered suddenly. With Natasha. Everyone knows except you, apparently. I'm so sorry, Gabby. I wanted to tell you, but I didn't know how. The room tilted again. An affair. Of course. This whole performance was to push me out so he could be with her openly. So he could avoid looking like the bad guy who left his wife for a younger woman. How long? I asked. At least 8 months, Simone said. Maybe longer. 8 months. While I was working 70-hour weeks to help his company succeed. While I was planning our anniversary trip. While I was being the perfect wife and the perfect executive. Let's get out of here, I said, closing my box. We walked out together, all 21 of us. Security didn't even try to stop us. They looked embarrassed, actually. In the lobby, I turned back one last time to look at the company I'd helped build. Then I walked through those doors and into the bright afternoon sun, surrounded by people who'd given up their jobs for me. I had no idea what came next. But I knew one thing for certain. Christopher Monroe had just made the biggest mistake of his life. I didn't go home right away. I couldn't. The thought of walking into the penthouse I shared with Christopher made my skin crawl. Instead, Simone drove me to her apartment and the others followed. Somehow, without planning it, all 20 of us ended up crammed into her living room and kitchen, sitting on furniture, counters, and floors. Nobody knew what to say at first. We just sat there in stunned silence, the reality of what we'd done sinking in. 20 people had just quit their jobs. For me. I need to say something, I finally spoke, my voice hoarse from crying in the car. What you all did today walking out with me, it was incredible. But you didn't have to do that. Those were good jobs with good salaries. I can't let you sacrifice your careers for me. Stop, Andre interrupted. Just stop, Gabby. You think we walked out because we felt sorry for you? We walked out because Christopher is a terrible leader who just showed his true colors. You built that operations department from nothing. You trained most of us. You fought for our raises, our promotions, our work-life balance. He's right, said Patricia, the director of human resources. Do you know how many times Christopher wanted to cut benefits or reduce vacation time, and you talked him out of it? Do you know how many times you protected us from his worst impulses? I shook my head. I'd just been doing my job. Being fair. Being human. You remember when my daughter was sick last year? Simone said. I needed to take 3 weeks off and Christopher said no. Said it would set a bad precedent. You went over his head to the board and got me paid leave. You saved my job and maybe my daughter's life because I could focus on her treatment. The others started sharing their own stories. Times I'd advocated for them. Times I'd shielded them from Christopher's harsh management style. Times I'd fought battles they didn't even know about. I didn't know you all felt this way, I admitted. That's because you're humble, Brian said. Christopher takes credit for everything. But we know who really runs that company. Ran it, he corrected himself. My phone buzzed. Then again. And again. I pulled it out and saw 15 missed calls from Christopher and dozens of text messages. We need to talk. You're overreacting. Come home so we can discuss this like adults. This is ridiculous, Gabrielle. You're making a scene. I blocked his number. I need to go to the penthouse, I said. I need to get my things before he gets home. Can someone come with me? I'll go, Simone said immediately. Brian and Andre volunteered too. We drove in silence to the building on 5th Avenue where Christopher and I had lived for the past 4 years. The doorman Miguel looked at me with pity. He knew. Of course he knew. Everyone knew except me. Mrs. Monroe, he said quietly. I'm sorry about today. How do you know about today? I asked, though I already knew the answer. It's all over the business news websites. 20 executives walk out after CEO fires his wife. It's everywhere. My stomach dropped. Of course it was everywhere. This was exactly the kind of scandal the business press loved. We went up to the penthouse. I had 2 hours before Christopher usually came home. I intended to be long gone by then. The apartment looked the same. Pristine. Perfect. Lifeless. I'd always wanted to make it more homey, add color and warmth, but Christopher liked everything minimal and modern. I'd given in like I'd given in on so many things. I went to the bedroom and started packing. Clothes, shoes, jewelry, toiletries. Everything that was mine. Simone helped while Brian and Andre loaded boxes. That's when I saw it. On Christopher's nightstand, his tablet was open. I shouldn't have looked, but something made me pick it up. The screen showed his messages. All of them. Including a thread with Natasha that made me physically sick. Can't wait until she's finally gone. Then we can be together properly. The firing went perfectly. She didn't suspect a thing until it was too late. I know it was harsh, but it was necessary. She would never have agreed to a divorce. This way she looks unstable and I look like a victim of her overreaction. Love you, babe. Tonight we celebrate. I read them all. Months of messages. Plans to get rid of me. Discussions about how to make me look bad to justify the firing. Intimate messages that detailed their affair in graphic ways I wished I could unsee. Gabby? Simone found me sitting on the bed, tablet in hand, tears streaming down my face. I handed it to her. Watched her face change from concern to rage as she read. This is evidence, she said. This is proof of his affair and proof that the firing was premeditated and malicious. This is everything we need for your divorce. I want copies of everything, I said, my voice hollow. Every message. Every photo. Everything. Brian, who'd come into the room, took the tablet. I'll handle this. I'll document it all legally so it can be used in court. While he worked, I continued packing. I was moving on autopilot now, my emotions shut down completely. I couldn't break down yet. I had to be strong a little longer. We were loading the last box into the car when I heard his voice. Gabrielle. Christopher was striding across the lobby toward me, his face twisted with anger. Natasha was with him, her hand possessively on his arm. We need to talk, he demanded. No, we don't, I replied, keeping my voice level. You're being childish, he said. Making a scene. Blocking my calls. This is exactly the kind of behavior that led to your termination. I laughed. Actually laughed. The sound echoed in the marble lobby. My termination, I repeated. Is that what we're calling it? Not you publicly humiliating me so you could be with your mistress? Natasha had the decency to look uncomfortable. Christopher's face reddened. Natasha is not my mistress. She's my partner. And what happens in the office is separate from what happens in our marriage. You fired me in the office, I pointed out. You ended our marriage in the office. So clearly you don't believe in that separation. But it doesn't matter. I've already contacted a divorce attorney. You'll be served papers tomorrow. You're upset, Christopher said, his tone condescending. When you calm down, we can discuss this rationally. I am calm, I said. And I'm done. With you. With your company. With this joke of a marriage. Enjoy your new life with Natasha. I hope it brings you everything you deserve. I got into the car. Simone drove away while Christopher stood in the lobby yelling after us. Where to? Simone asked. A hotel, I said. Somewhere expensive. Charge it to the joint credit card before he thinks to cancel it. She grinned. Now that's the Gabby I know. We checked into a suite at the plaza. I ordered room service and finally allowed myself to fall apart. I cried for hours. For my marriage. For my career. For the life I'd thought I had that turned out to be a lie. But somewhere around midnight, sitting on the floor of that fancy hotel room surrounded by my friends, something shifted inside me. Christopher thought he'd destroyed me. Thought he'd won. He had no idea what he'd just unleashed. I woke up the next morning with a headache and a notification on my phone. 23 new articles about yesterday's walkout. Most of them painted me as either a victim or a vindictive ex-wife, depending on the publication's bias. None of them had the real story. My phone rang. A number I didn't recognize. Hello? Mrs. Monroe? This is Jennifer Park from the Wall Street Journal. I'd love to get your perspective on yesterday's events at Monroe Industries. I hung up. The phone rang again immediately. A different number. Different reporter. I turned off my phone. There was a knock at my hotel room door. I looked through the peephole and saw Simone holding coffee and pastries. "Emergency breakfast meeting," she announced when I let her in. "The others are coming too." Within an hour, my hotel suite was full again. All 20 of my former colleagues, plus a few more who'd heard what happened and wanted in on whatever came next. "Okay," Brian said, setting up his laptop. "I spent all night documenting everything from Christopher's tablet. We have enough evidence to prove adultery, which in New York can affect the divorce settlement. We also have evidence of wrongful termination, though since you're married to him, that case is more complicated." "I don't care about the wrongful termination suit," I said. "I care about the divorce. I want every penny I'm entitled to. Every single one." "That's the spirit," Simone grinned. "But that's not why I asked you all here," I continued. "You gave up your jobs for me yesterday. That was brave and stupid and beautiful, but now you're all unemployed because of me." "Because of Christopher," Andre corrected. "Not because of you." "Either way, I want to fix it," I said. "I've been thinking all night. We have something Christopher doesn't have anymore. We have expertise. We have relationships with clients. We have each other." "What are you saying?" Patricia asked. "I'm saying we start our own company," I declared. "All of us. We take everything we know, everything we've built, and we do it better. We become Christopher's competition." The room went silent. Then Andre started laughing. "You want to go to war with a billionaire CEO?" he asked. "I want to beat him at his own game," I replied. "He thinks he won by firing me. He thinks I'll crawl away and disappear. But he trained me. He taught me everything about this business. And then he betrayed me. So yes, I want to go to war. The question is, are you with me?" I watched them exchange glances. These were people with mortgages, families, responsibilities. I was asking them to take a huge risk. "I'm in," Simone said immediately. "I've got some savings. I can go 6 months without a salary if needed." "I'm in too," Brian added. "My wife works. We can make it work." One by one they committed. 20 people ready to build something new from nothing. "We need a business plan," Patricia said, slipping into her HR director role. "We need to figure out what services we'll offer, who our target clients are, how we'll fund this." "I've got that covered," I said. "Christopher doesn't know it yet, but I'm entitled to half of everything we own. That includes his stock in Monroe Industries, our real estate holdings, and several offshore accounts I discovered last night in his tablet." Brian whistled. "How much are we talking?" "Enough to fund a startup and live comfortably while we build it," I said. "My lawyer is filing for an emergency injunction to freeze all our joint assets. Christopher can't touch anything until the divorce is settled." "He's going to lose his mind," Simone said gleefully. "Good," I replied. "Let him feel what I felt yesterday." We spent the next 6 hours planning. We'd offer consulting services in operations management, business process optimization, and strategic planning. Our target clients would be mid-sized companies looking to scale, exactly the market Monroe Industries had been neglecting in favor of larger corporate contracts. "What do we call ourselves?" Andre asked. I thought about it. About rising from the ashes of my destroyed marriage and career. About starting over and becoming stronger. "Phoenix Solutions," I said. "Because we're rising from the destruction to create something better." Everyone nodded. It was perfect. "I'll register the LLC tomorrow," Brian said. "We'll need office space." "I know a place," said Patricia. "My cousin owns a building in Brooklyn. He's been trying to rent out the second floor. It's not fancy, but it's affordable." "We don't need fancy," I said. "We need functional. We can build fancy later." "What about clients?" someone asked. "How do we get our first contracts?" "I've been thinking about that," I said. "Monroe Industries has been pursuing Hartwell Tech for 2 years. They're a growing company that needs exactly what we're offering. Christopher kept pushing them toward expensive, complicated solutions because he wanted the bigger contract. But what Hartwell actually needs is efficient, streamlined processes." "You want to steal Christopher's potential client?" Simone asked. "I want to offer them a better solution," I corrected. "If they choose us, that's their decision." My phone buzzed with a notification. I turned it back on to check messages from my lawyer. But this wasn't from my lawyer. It was from Christopher's attorney. A cease and desist letter. "You are hereby ordered to cease all attempts to contact Monroe Industries clients, former colleagues, or employees. Any violation of this order will result in legal action including but not limited to claims of trade secret theft and corporate espionage." I showed it to Brian. "Can he do this?" I asked. "He can try," Brian said. But we're not employees anymore. We didn't sign non-competes. And we're not stealing trade secrets. We're using our own expertise. This is just intimidation. Then we ignore it, I decided. Actually, Brian said with a smile, I think we respond. Professionally. Through our own attorney. And we make it clear that Phoenix Solutions is here to stay. That night, I lay awake in my hotel room thinking about the next steps. Tomorrow, Christopher would be served with divorce papers. Tomorrow, he'd discover his assets were frozen. Tomorrow, he'd learn that I wasn't going away quietly. I thought about the woman I'd been yesterday morning. The woman who'd walked into that boardroom trusting her husband, believing in their partnership. That woman was gone. In her place was someone harder, smarter, angrier. Someone who was going to win. The divorce papers were served to Christopher at his office at 9 in the morning. I know because his attorney called my attorney within 5 minutes, screaming about impropriety and revenge tactics. My attorney, a sharp woman named Melissa Torres, laughed. Tell Mr. Monroe that if he wants to discuss impropriety, we can talk about his 8-month affair with an employee, she said calmly. We have documentation. Lots of it. I was sitting in Melissa's office when this conversation happened, watching her work with admiration. He's demanding that you unfreeze the assets immediately, Melissa told me after hanging up. He says he has business obligations. I have business obligations too, I replied. I need to pay my new employees. You're really starting this company? She asked. We already started it. Phoenix Solutions officially exists as of this morning. We have office space and 20 committed employees. We just need clients. You're braver than I thought, Melissa said. Most people in your position would take the settlement and disappear. I'm not most people, I said. The office space in Brooklyn was perfect. 2,000 square feet of open floor plan with huge windows that let in natural light. Patricia's cousin gave us a deal. 3 months free rent in exchange for helping him optimize his property management business. Our first client before we even officially opened. We moved in that afternoon. No furniture yet, just folding tables and chairs borrowed from various apartments. Laptops balanced on boxes. Coffee from the shop downstairs. It was chaos and it was perfect. This feels like a startup from a movie, Simone laughed, sitting cross-legged on the floor with her laptop. Except we're all middle-aged and our backs hurt, Andre added, stretching. Speak for yourself, I said. I'm only 34. Ancient, teased Taylor, one of our junior developers. We worked until midnight that first night, building our website, creating pitch decks, reaching out to our networks. I emailed everyone I'd ever worked with, carefully avoiding anyone currently at Monroe Industries. The responses started coming in within hours. Gabrielle, I heard what happened. That was horrible. If there's anything I can do to help, I've always respected your work. I'd love to hear about your new venture. Christopher Monroe is an idiot for letting you go. Call me when you're ready to talk business. By the end of the week, we had 3 discovery meetings scheduled with potential clients. But the biggest opportunity came from an unexpected source. I was working late on Friday night, alone in the office when my phone rang. An unknown number, but something made me answer. Is this Gabrielle Monroe? Yes, who's this? My name is Robert Hartwell. I own Hartwell Tech. I believe your husband, or rather your soon-to-be ex-husband, has been pitching my company for about 2 years. My heart started racing. Yes, I'm familiar with Hartwell Tech. I heard about what happened. The whole industry heard about it. That was a hell of a thing, having 20 people walk out with you. They're good people, I said carefully, not sure where this was going. I'm sure they are. Here's the thing, Ms. Monroe. I've been putting Christopher off for 2 years because his solutions never felt right for my company. Too expensive. Too complicated. But I've done my research on you. You're the one who streamlined operations at 3 companies before Monroe Industries. You're the one who actually knows how to make businesses run better, not just bigger. Thank you, I said, barely breathing. I want to meet with you and your team, Robert continued. Not because I feel sorry for you. Because I think you might actually understand what my company needs. Are you available Monday? Absolutely, I said. Good. My office 10 in the morning. And Gabrielle? Bring your best pitch. I'm not a charity case. If you want my business, you'll have to earn it. I wouldn't want it any other way, I replied. After he hung up, I sat there in shock. Then I called everyone. Emergency meeting tomorrow, 9 in the morning, I said to each person. We have a pitch to prepare. The biggest pitch of our lives. They all showed up Saturday morning running on coffee and determination. We spent 12 hours building the perfect presentation for Hartwell Tech. Not Christopher's bloated proposal with unnecessary services and inflated costs. A lean, efficient plan that addressed exactly what Robert's company needed. "This is good," Brian said, reviewing the final deck. "This is really good." "It needs to be better than good," I replied. "It needs to be perfect." We practiced the pitch until we could do it in our sleep. Anticipated every question. Prepared backup data. By Sunday night we were ready. Monday morning I stood in front of my bathroom mirror getting dressed. I chose a navy suit with a red blouse. Powerful but not aggressive. Professional but approachable. I thought about calling Christopher to let him know I was meeting with his white whale client. Then I decided against it. He'd find out soon enough. The team gathered at the office at 8:30. 6 of us were going to the pitch. Me, Simone, Brian, Andre, Patricia, and Taylor. "Remember?" I said as we got into 2 cars. "We're not selling against Christopher. We're selling our vision. Our expertise. Our commitment to making Hartwell Tech better." Robert Hartwell's office was in Manhattan, a sleek building in Midtown. His assistant led us to a conference room where Robert waited with his CFO and CTO. "Ms. Monroe," Robert said, shaking my hand firmly. "Thank you for coming." "Thank you for the opportunity," I replied. I launched into the pitch. 45 minutes of data, analysis, and solutions. My team backed me up perfectly, each person contributing their expertise at exactly the right moment. Robert asked tough questions. We had good answers. Finally, he sat back in his chair and looked at his colleagues. They nodded. "Here's the situation," Robert said. "Christopher Monroe has been chasing my business for 2 years. He sent me a proposal last week, actually. Probably trying to prove something after the mass walkout made him look bad. I kept my face neutral. His proposal is for $800,000 over 18 months, Robert continued. It's comprehensive but complicated. What are you offering? I took a breath. We can deliver better results for $400,000 over 12 months. Faster implementation, more efficient processes, and a dedicated team that actually cares about your success. That's half his price, Robert's CFO said suspiciously. Why? Because we don't have his overhead, Simone explained. No expensive office rent. No bloated executive salaries. No shareholders demanding maximum profit. We can afford to charge fair rates because we're focused on doing excellent work, not extracting maximum fees. Robert smiled. I like that answer. He stood up and extended his hand. Welcome aboard, Phoenix Solutions. Let's start next week. I shook his hand, trying to keep my composure even though I wanted to scream with joy. You won't regret this, I promised. I know, he said. And Gabrielle? I hope you take Christopher for everything he's worth in that divorce. What he did to you was terrible. But I'm not hiring you because I feel sorry for you. I'm hiring you because you're the best. We walked out of that building and into the bright morning sunshine. For a moment, we just stood there on the sidewalk. Then Simone started laughing. Then we all were hugging and celebrating right there in front of the building. We did it, Andre said. We actually did it. This is just the beginning, I replied. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I heard you met with Robert Hartwell. Whatever you're trying to do, it won't work. You're out of your league. Christopher. I smiled and deleted the message. He had no idea just how wrong he was. We started work on the Hartwell Tech contract the following Monday. Robert gave us access to everything. Financial records, operational data, employee surveys, everything we needed to diagnose the problems and build solutions. What we found was exactly what I'd suspected. Hartwell Tech was a great company with terrible systems. They'd grown fast, from 20 employees to 200 in 3 years, but their processes hadn't scaled with them. This is fixable, Andre said, reviewing the operations data. Very fixable. But it's going to take some serious restructuring. We set up a war room in our Brooklyn office. White boards covered the walls with flowcharts and timelines. We worked 16-hour days, fueled by coffee and takeout and the sheer determination to prove ourselves. Christopher tried to sabotage us from the start. First, he sent a formal letter to Robert Hartwell claiming that Phoenix Solutions was using Monroe Industries' proprietary methods and trade secrets. Robert forwarded the letter to me with a note. Is this guy for real? Brian drafted a response through our attorney. Clean, professional, and devastating. We weren't using any proprietary methods because there was nothing proprietary about basic business process optimization. Christopher might as well claim he owned the concept of efficiency. Then Christopher tried a different tactic. He started calling mutual contacts in the industry, spreading rumors that I was unstable. That the company walkout was because I'd had a breakdown. that Phoenix Solutions was doomed to fail. But here's the thing about reputation. I'd spent 10 years building mine. 10 years of delivering results, treating people well, and keeping my word. Christopher had spent those same 10 years being difficult, demanding, and taking credit for other people's work. When people had to choose who to believe, they chose me. A reporter from Business Week called asking for an interview. I said yes. The article came out 2 weeks later. Phoenix Rising: How One Woman Turned Public Humiliation into Opportunity. It was fair and factual. They mentioned the affair, the public firing, and the mass walkout. But they focused more on Phoenix Solutions, our approach to business, and our early success with Hartwell Tech. Christopher hated it. I know, because his attorney sent another cease and desist, this time demanding I stop talking to the press about our marriage. My attorney responded that I'd never mentioned our marriage in the interview. I'd only discussed business. If Christopher was embarrassed by the facts, perhaps he should have thought about that before conducting an affair and firing his wife in a boardroom. 3 weeks into the Hartwell contract, we delivered our first milestone, a complete operational assessment with recommendations. Robert and his team reviewed it in silence for 20 minutes. "This is incredible," his CFO finally said. "This is exactly what we needed." "We identified 17 different inefficiencies," I explained. "Some are quick fixes. Others will take time. But if you implement all our recommendations, we estimate you can reduce operational costs by 30% and increase productivity by 40%. "In how much time?" Robert asked. 6 months for full implementation," Simone answered. "But you'll start seeing improvements within weeks." Robert looked at me with something like respect. Christopher's proposal wanted 18 months and didn't promise half these results. Christopher's proposal was designed to maximize his fees, I said bluntly. Ours is designed to maximize your success. We got approval to move forward with implementation that same day. The work was intense. We embedded team members at Hartwell's office, working side by side with their employees. We trained their managers on new systems. We held workshops on efficiency and communication. And it worked. Within a month, Hartwell's order processing time dropped by 25%. Employee satisfaction scores went up. Customer complaints went down. Robert sent an email to his entire company praising Phoenix Solutions. Somehow, that email leaked to industry blogs. More press. More attention. More potential clients reaching out. Christopher was hemorrhaging credibility while we were building it. I learned from Melissa that Christopher's company had lost 3 major clients in the past month. His stock value was dropping. His board was asking questions about his leadership. "He's trying to blame you," Melissa told me during one of our regular strategy sessions. "His attorney is building a narrative that you sabotaged the company before you left." "That's ridiculous," I said. "I was fired. How could I sabotage anything?" "Facts don't matter when you're desperate," she replied. "He's going to fight dirty in this divorce. Be prepared." I was prepared. I'd stopped crying over Christopher weeks ago. Now I just wanted justice. My phone rang. I didn't recognize the number, but I'd been getting a lot of business calls lately. Gabrielle Monroe speaking. "Ms. Monroe, this is Amanda Reeves from Stellar Tech. I'm calling because we heard about your work with Hartwell Tech. We're facing similar growing pains and wondered if Phoenix Solutions might be able to help." I put her on speaker so my team could hear. "We'd love to discuss it," I said. "When are you available to meet?" By the end of the day, we had discovery meetings scheduled with 3 new potential clients. All of them had heard about us through word of mouth. All of them were impressed by our results with Hartwell. "We need to hire more people," Patricia said. "We can't take on more clients with our current team size." "Agreed," I said. "Let's put out job postings. And let's be selective. I only want people who share our values. People who care about doing good work, not just making money." That night, I sat in my new apartment, a small but nice place in Brooklyn, and realized I was happy. Actually happy. For the first time in years. My marriage was over. My career at Monroe Industries was destroyed. But I built something new. Something better. Something that was truly mine. Christopher had tried to break me. Instead, he'd freed me. My phone buzzed with a text from Simone. "Just saw Christopher and Natasha at a restaurant. They were fighting. She looked miserable. Thought you'd enjoy knowing that." I smiled. Karma was working faster than expected. I texted back, "Good. They deserve each other." Then I opened my laptop and got back to work. We had a company to build and a billion-dollar competitor to beat. And I was just getting started. 3 months after the Boardroom disaster, Phoenix Solutions was operating out of a real office with actual furniture and 30 employees. We'd moved from the Brooklyn space to a larger location in Lower Manhattan. Nothing fancy but professional and bright. The Hartwell Tech contract was a massive success. Their operational efficiency had improved by 35%, even better than our projections. Robert Hartwell became our biggest advocate, referring us to everyone he knew. Stellar Tech signed with us. So did 2 other companies. Our revenue for the first quarter hit $2 million. We were profitable. Actually profitable. This is insane, Simone said during our monthly financial review. Do you realize that in 3 months we've accomplished what takes most startups 3 years? We had advantages, I pointed out. Experience, reputation, a ready-made team. And you, Brian added. Don't downplay your role in this, Gabby. You're the reason clients trust us. You're the face of Phoenix. I was the face of Phoenix. That realization hit me during a magazine interview with Forbes for their 30 Under 40 issue, except they'd bent the rules to include me in a special feature about women in business. The photographer had me stand in our office with my team behind me. Looking at those photos later, I barely recognized myself. This woman was confident, powerful, successful. Not the person who'd been crying on a hotel room floor 3 months ago. The article came out in May. The headline read, Phoenix Solutions, the company built on loyalty and revenge. I hated the revenge part, but the article itself was good. It focused on our business model, our rapid growth, and our commitment to employee-focused solutions. Christopher called me for the first time in weeks after that article published. I answered because Melissa had advised me to keep limited communication open for the divorce proceedings. Congratulations on your publicity, he said, his voice tight. I see you're enjoying your 15 minutes of fame. Was there something you needed, Christopher? I asked coolly. I need you to stop sabotaging my company. I'm not sabotaging anything. I'm running my own business. You're stealing my clients. You're poaching my employees. You're deliberately trying to destroy what I built. I laughed. Actually laughed. What you built? I built half that company, Christopher. I brought in most of those clients. I trained most of those employees. And now I'm offering them something better. That's not sabotage. That's competition. This is because you're angry about Natasha, he said. This has nothing to do with Natasha, I replied, which was partly true. This is business. If you can't compete, that's your problem, not mine. I hung up before he could respond. The truth was, I rarely thought about Natasha anymore. I'd heard through the grapevine that she and Christopher were having problems. Apparently, living with him was different than sneaking around with him. Apparently, she hadn't expected his business to start failing. I didn't care. They could figure out their own mess. I had bigger things to focus on. Like the fact that we'd been approached by a major tech company about a potential contract worth $10 million over 2 years. This is huge, Andre said when we got the initial email. This would put us in a completely different league. It's also risky, Patricia cautioned. We'd need to hire at least 20 more people to handle this contract. If something goes wrong, we could be overextended. So we don't let anything go wrong, I said simply. The pitch meeting was scheduled for June. 2 months to prepare. We pulled together our best work, our most impressive results, our strongest team. But we also had another opportunity that month. A TED Talk invitation. They want you to speak about building Phoenix Solutions, Brian told me, showing me the email. About turning a crisis into an opportunity. I don't know, I said hesitantly. That's pretty high profile. That's exactly why you should do it, Simone argued. Gabby, you've become a symbol. Not just of a woman scorned getting revenge, but of resilience. Of refusing to let someone else define your worth. People need to hear your story. I agreed to do it. The talk was scheduled for July, which gave me 2 months to prepare. I worked with a speaking coach to craft my message. I didn't want to talk about Christopher or the affair. I wanted to talk about building something meaningful. About loyalty. About taking risks. What's the core message you want people to remember? My coach asked. I thought about it. That when someone tries to destroy you, you don't have to stay destroyed. You can rebuild. And sometimes what you build from the ashes is better than what you lost. That's perfect, she said. That's your talk. While I prepared for the TED Talk, the divorce proceedings heated up. Christopher was fighting everything. He claimed Phoenix Solutions was built using Monroe Industries resources and should be considered marital property. Melissa shut that down quickly with evidence that we'd used no company resources, no company clients, and no proprietary information. He claimed I'd turned his employees against him. Melissa pointed out that employees have free will and the right to work wherever they choose. He claimed emotional distress and wanted me to pay him damages. Melissa laughed so hard at that one she had to put the phone down. He's drowning, she told me after another contentious settlement meeting. His company is in trouble, his reputation is shot, and he's looking for someone to blame. Unfortunately for him, the evidence clearly shows he created this situation himself. How much longer until this is over? I asked. The divorce was draining, emotionally and financially. Maybe 6 more months, she estimated. He's stalling, hoping you'll settle for less just to end it. Don't. You deserve every penny. I wasn't going to settle. Not after what he'd done. In mid-June we pitched the major tech company. The meeting lasted 3 hours. They asked every question imaginable. We had answers for all of them. At the end their CEO stood up and shook my hand. We've heard the stories about you and your company, she said. Some people think you're just riding a wave of publicity. I wanted to see for myself if there was substance behind the story. My stomach dropped. And? There's substance, she smiled. Welcome to the team, Phoenix Solutions. Let's do great things together. $10 million. The contract was ours. I called an all-company meeting to announce it. 30 employees packed into our main conference room. Because of your hard work, your dedication, and your belief in this company, I told them, we just landed the biggest contract in Phoenix Solutions history. This puts us on the map as a serious player in this industry. And it's all because of you. The room erupted in cheers. Some people cried. Everyone celebrated. That night, my core team went out for drinks. Real drinks at a nice bar, not cheap beers in someone's apartment. To Gabby, Simone toasted. Who turned the worst day of her life into the best thing that ever happened to all of us. To all of us, I corrected. I couldn't have done any of this without you. So what's next? Andre asked. We've got the big contract. We've got the growth. What's the next goal? I thought about it. About Christopher's company struggling while ours thrived. About proving that loyalty and fairness could be just as profitable as ruthlessness. Next, I said, we become the company everyone wants to work for. Not just because we pay well or offer good benefits, but because we treat people like they matter. We show the industry that there's a better way to do business. That's ambitious, Brian said. Good, I replied. I'm tired of playing it safe. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me check. Saw the Forbes article. Proud of you. Jordan. We'd met at a business conference 2 months ago. He was an investor, smart and kind, with none of Christopher's arrogance. We'd exchanged numbers and had coffee twice, but I'd been too busy and too emotionally unavailable to pursue anything. I texted back, thank you. How have you been? His response came quickly, good. Wondering if you'd like to get dinner sometime. No pressure. I looked around the table at my team, my friends, celebrating our success. I thought about how far I'd come in just a few months. Maybe it was time to take a risk on something other than business. I'd like that, I replied. Summer brought changes I never expected. Phoenix Solutions moved into a brand new office building in June. 3 floors of glass and light with room to grow. We hired 30 more people to handle the major tech contract. Each new hire went through intense interviews because I refused to compromise on culture. We're not just hiring skills, I told Patricia, who headed our recruitment. We're hiring character. I want people who believe in what we're building. The TED Talk happened in July. I stood on that red circle looking out at the audience and told my story. Not about Christopher or revenge, but about resilience. About the 20 people who believed in me when I couldn't believe in myself. About building something meaningful from complete destruction. The talk went viral. 5 million views in the first week. 10 million by the end of the month. My inbox exploded with speaking requests, interview requests, business proposals. I hired an assistant just to manage it all. But the most unexpected change was Jordan. Our first dinner turned into a second. Then a third. He was different from Christopher in every way. Quiet where Christopher was loud. Thoughtful where Christopher was impulsive. He asked about my day and actually listened to the answer. I'm not looking for anything serious, I told him after our 4th date. My divorce isn't even final yet. I know, he said. I'm not trying to rush you. I just enjoy spending time with you. No pressure. No expectations. Just genuine interest in who I was, not what I could do for him. It was refreshing. The divorce, meanwhile, had become a circus. Christopher's attorney was throwing everything at the wall to see what stuck. They claimed I'd been planning to leave for years. That I'd deliberately sabotaged Monroe Industries before my departure. That Phoenix Solutions proved I'd been disloyal all along. Melissa destroyed every argument with facts and evidence. The tablet messages showing Christopher planned the firing. The affair that lasted 8 months. The complete lack of evidence that I'd done anything wrong. In August we had a major breakthrough. 3 senior executives from Monroe Industries reached out to me privately. They wanted to leave and join Phoenix Solutions. Christopher is running the company into the ground, one of them told me during a secret coffee meeting. He's paranoid. He's making terrible decisions. And he's blaming everyone but himself for the company's problems. I can't actively recruit you, I said carefully. Not during the divorce. It would look bad. We're not asking you to recruit us, she replied. We're asking if there would be positions available if we quit. I thought about it. About the optics. About Christopher's inevitable reaction. Then I thought about building the best possible team regardless of where they came from. If you choose to leave Monroe Industries, I said, Phoenix Solutions would be happy to interview you for positions. They gave notice the following week. All 3 of them. Christopher's attorney sent a furious letter accusing me of corporate espionage and employee poaching. Melissa's response was beautiful. Your client created a toxic work environment that is causing employees to seek better opportunities. Phoenix Solutions does not recruit from Monroe Industries, but we do accept applications from qualified candidates regardless of their employment history. If Mr. Monroe wants to retain his staff, perhaps he should consider treating them better. The 3 executives joined Phoenix in September. They brought expertise, contacts, and inside knowledge of Monroe Industries' weaknesses. He's lost the Carmichael account, one of them told me during their first week. They were his biggest client. They left because he couldn't deliver on promises. I felt a twinge of something. Not quite sympathy but close. I'd helped build Monroe Industries. Part of me was sad to see it failing, even though Christopher deserved the consequences of his actions. What do you think he'll do? I asked. Get desperate, she replied. Men like Christopher don't fail gracefully. She was right. In October, Monroe Industries filed a lawsuit against Phoenix Solutions claiming unfair competition, trade secret theft, and intentional interference with business relationships. It was baseless. We knew it was baseless. But it was also expensive and time-consuming to fight. He's trying to drain your resources, Melissa explained. Force you to spend money on legal fees instead of growing your business. Then we fight efficiently, I decided. We document everything. We prove that Phoenix Solutions operates completely independently from any Monroe Industries resources or information. And we don't let this slow us down. Brian coordinated our legal defense while the rest of us focused on business. And business was booming. The major tech contract was exceeding expectations. Our client satisfaction scores were the highest in the industry. We've been approached by 2 more Fortune 500 companies about potential partnerships. In November, Business Week did a follow-up article, Phoenix Solutions, from startup to industry leader in 8 months. The article included quotes from our clients praising our work. It mentioned our employee retention rate of 100%, unheard of in our industry. It talked about our innovative approach to business consulting. And it mentioned, almost as an afterthought, that Monroe Industries had lost 40% of its value since January. Christopher called me after that article. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Are you happy now? He asked, his voice rough. You've destroyed everything I built. I didn't destroy anything, Christopher, I said calmly. You did that yourself when you fired me to be with your mistress. How is Natasha, by the way? She left, he said bitterly. Turns out she was only interested when the money was good. I should have felt satisfaction. Instead, I felt nothing. I'm sorry to hear that, I said and meant it. Not because I cared about his relationship, but because I'd stopped caring about him entirely. The lawsuit, he said. I'll drop it if you help me save the company. I laughed. You want my help? After everything you've done? I made mistakes, he admitted. I know that. But we were good together once. We built something great. Maybe we could do it again. No, I said simply. We're done, Christopher. The marriage is over. The business relationship is over. Everything is over except the divorce proceedings. And I'm going to win those too. You've changed, he said. Yes, I agreed. I have. I became the person I should have been all along. Someone who knows her worth and doesn't accept less than she deserves. I hung up and blocked his number. For real this time. That night, Jordan took me to dinner at a restaurant with a view of the city lights. We'd been dating casually for 4 months now and it had been easy, comfortable. He never pushed for more than I could give. I heard about Christopher's call, he said. Jordan and I had become close enough that I told him about the major developments in my life. How did you hear? I asked, surprised. Business circles are small, he smiled. People talk. Especially about you. What are they saying? That you're brilliant. That Phoenix Solutions is the future of business consulting. That Christopher Monroe made the biggest mistake of his career when he let you go. And what do you think? I asked. He reached across the table and took my hand. I think you're remarkable. I think you took something terrible and turned it into something beautiful. And I think I'm falling in love with you, even though I know you're not ready to hear that yet. My heart skipped. No one had told me they loved me in a long time. Christopher had stopped saying it years before the affair started. Jordan, I started. You don't have to say anything, he interrupted gently. I just wanted you to know. When you're ready, if you're ever ready, I'll be here. I looked at this man who'd been patient and kind and supportive without asking for anything in return. Who celebrated my successes and supported me through the divorce drama. Who saw me as a whole person, not just a business opportunity or a trophy wife. I'm not ready for love, I told him honestly. Not yet. I'm still healing. Still figuring out who I am outside of being Christopher's wife. I know, he said. That's why I can wait. We finished dinner and walked through the city, hand in hand, and for the first time in months, I felt truly hopeful about the future. Not just Phoenix Solutions' future, though that was bright. My future. As a person. As someone who deserved good things and good people. Christopher had tried to destroy me. Instead, he'd freed me to become someone better. And I was just getting started. December brought snow to New York and a new level of warfare from Christopher. The lawsuit was going nowhere. Every claim he made, we disproved with documentation. His attorneys were getting frustrated, billing hours for a case they knew they couldn't win. But Christopher wasn't ready to give up. It started with the rumors. Whispers in industry circles that Phoenix Solutions was overextended. That we'd taken on more than we could handle. That our rapid growth was unstable and we'd collapse within the year. Where is this coming from? I asked Patricia after the third client called asking if we were financially stable. Monroe Industries, she said. They're running a quiet campaign against us. Nothing they can be sued for, just suggestions and concerns shared between business associates. Can we fight it? With results, Brian answered. We deliver excellent work and the rumors die on their own. So that's what we did. We doubled down on quality. Every project, every client interaction, every deliverable was flawless. Our clients became our advocates, defending us in meetings where Christopher's people spread doubt. But in early December, Christopher escalated. One of our biggest clients, a financial services company, suddenly terminated their contract. No warning. No explanation. Just a formal letter ending our agreement. I called their CEO immediately. Richard, what happened? I thought we were doing great work for you. You were, he said uncomfortably. This isn't about your performance. Then what is it about? Silence. Then, I received some information about your company's financial stability. About potential legal issues. I can't have my company associated with that kind of uncertainty. What information? From who? I can't say, Gabrielle. I'm sorry. The decision is final. I knew. We all knew. Christopher had gotten to him somehow. He's playing dirty now, Simone said at our emergency team meeting. He can't beat us legitimately, so he's sabotaging us. Can we prove it? Andre asked. Not without Richard telling us exactly what Christopher said, Brian replied. And he won't do that. Nobody wants to get involved in this mess. We lost another client the following week. Same story. Vague concerns about stability, no specific complaints about our work. We're losing momentum, Patricia said during our financial review. If this continues, we could be in trouble. The team was worried. I could see it in their faces. They bet everything on Phoenix Solutions. Their jobs, their reputations, their futures. And now that bet looked shaky. I called a company-wide meeting. All 60 employees gathered in our main office space. I know you've heard about the clients we've lost, I began. I know there are rumors circulating about our stability. I want to be completely transparent with you about what's happening. I explained Christopher's campaign. The lawsuit, the rumors, the sabotage. He's trying to destroy Phoenix Solutions because he can't compete with us honestly, I said. And I want you all to know that if you're worried about your jobs, I understand. If anyone wants to leave and find more stable employment, I won't hold it against you. The room was silent. Then Andre stood up. I'm not going anywhere, he said. Christopher tried to break us before. We're still here. We're still stronger. Me too, Simone added. We've been through worse than this. One by one, people voiced their commitment. Not just the original 20 who'd walked out with me, but the new employees too. People who'd been with us for only a few months but believed in what we were building. Okay then, I said, emotion thick in my voice. Then we fight. We work harder than ever. We deliver better results than ever. And we prove that Phoenix Solutions is here to stay. But fighting spirit doesn't pay bills. We needed a plan. That's when Jordan made an offer. Let me invest, he said over dinner that night. I've been wanting to invest in Phoenix Solutions since I met you, but I didn't want to mix business with our personal relationship. But now you need capital and I have it. I can't ask you to do that, I protested. You're not asking. I'm offering. Phoenix Solutions is a good investment, Gabrielle. Even without our relationship, I'd want in. You're profitable, growing, and you have an excellent team. The fact that I care about you is just a bonus. What if we fail? What if Christopher succeeds in destroying us? Then we'll rebuild, he said simply. But I don't think you're going to fail. I've watched you for 6 months now. You don't know how to fail. His investment gave us breathing room. We used it to strengthen our financial position, expand our services, and launch a marketing campaign that told our story directly. We also used it to go after Monroe Industries clients. Is that too aggressive? I asked Brian as we reviewed the strategy. He started this war, Brian replied. We're just fighting back. We targeted companies that were unhappy with Monroe Industries' service. We offered them better solutions at better prices. We showcased our results with Hartwell Tech and other successful clients. 5 companies switched from Monroe Industries to Phoenix Solutions in January. Christopher's attorney sent another cease and desist. We ignored it. The divorce finally went to mediation in February. Christopher and I sat across from each other in a conference room, attorneys flanking us on both sides. He looked terrible. Older, tired, defeated. Let's talk settlement, the mediator began. Christopher's attorney laid out their offer. It was insulting. They wanted to give me 30% of our marital assets, claiming I'd forfeited my right to more by competing unfairly with Monroe Industries. Melissa didn't even pretend to consider it. Our counteroffer is 60% of all marital assets, including stock in Monroe Industries, plus compensation for emotional distress caused by the very public affair and termination. That's robbery, Christopher's attorney sputtered. That's justice, Melissa replied calmly. Your client conducted an 8-month affair with an employee, fired his wife publicly to humiliate her, and has spent the past year trying to destroy the company she built from scratch. If anything, we're being generous by not pursuing additional damages. The mediation ended with no agreement. We'd go to trial. Are you ready for that? Melissa asked me afterward. I'm ready for this to be over, I admitted. But I'm not settling for less than I deserve. Good, she said. Because I think we can win everything. That night, I sat in my apartment looking over the city. Phoenix Solutions was stronger than ever, despite Christopher's attacks. We'd landed 3 new major clients. Our revenue was projected to hit $50 million this year. But the fight was exhausting. The constant battle, the legal fees, the emotional drain of facing Christopher repeatedly. Jordan called. How did mediation go? He asked. Terrible. We're going to trial. I'm sorry. Don't be. I'm going to win. I know you will, he said. Listen, I have something to ask you. There's an investor conference in California next month. I'm speaking on a panel about emerging businesses. Would you want to come with me? Not as a speaker, just as my guest. We could make it a long weekend. Get away from all this. I thought about it. About taking a break from the war. About spending time with someone who made me happy instead of someone trying to destroy me. Yes, I said. I'd like that. Really? He sounded surprised. Really? I think it's time I stopped letting Christopher control my life. Time I started living for myself. I like the sound of that, Jordan said warmly. After we hung up, I looked at my reflection in the dark window. I was different than I'd been a year ago. Stronger. Wiser. Less willing to accept anything less than I deserved. Christopher had tried to break me with sabotage and lawsuits and rumors. Instead, he just made me more determined to win. March brought a surprise that changed everything. Christopher's company filed for bankruptcy protection. The news broke on a Tuesday morning. Monroe Industries, once valued at over $1 billion, was insolvent. Too much debt, too many lost clients, too many terrible decisions by a CEO who'd been focused on revenge instead of business. My phone exploded with calls from reporters, clients, colleagues. Everyone wanted to know if I'd known. If I'd planned this. If Phoenix Solutions had deliberately driven Monroe Industries out of business. We didn't do anything except provide better service, I told every reporter who asked. Monroe Industries destroyed itself. The bankruptcy filing complicated the divorce. Christopher's attorney tried to claim he had no assets to divide. Melissa laughed at that. He has personal assets separate from the business, she pointed out. Real estate, investments, offshore accounts, and he has debt that he tried to hide. We're going to get everything we're owed. But the bigger news came 3 days later. Robert Hartwell called me personally. Gabriel, I need to talk to you about an opportunity, he said. How would you feel about Phoenix Solutions acquiring Monroe Industries? I almost dropped the phone. Acquiring? The company is bankrupt. Which means it's available for pennies on the dollar, Robert explained. The bankruptcy court will be looking for buyers. Phoenix Solutions could buy the assets, the client list, the intellectual property. You'd eliminate your competition and expand your business significantly. That's ambitious, I said slowly. That's strategic, he corrected. Think about it. You'd get access to Monroe Industries' remaining clients. You'd get their office space, their equipment, their resources. And you'd get the satisfaction of literally taking everything Christopher tried to build. I thought about it. About walking into the office where Christopher had fired me and owning it. About becoming the CEO of what was left of Monroe Industries. I'd need to discuss it with my team, I said. Discuss fast, Robert replied. This opportunity won't last long. I called an emergency executive meeting. My core team, the original 20 who'd walked out with me, plus Jordan who'd become an informal advisor. This is perfect, Simone said immediately. We buy Monroe Industries for almost nothing, absorb their clients and grow overnight. It's also risky, Patricia countered. We'd be taking on their debt, their problems, their reputation issues. We could restructure, Andre suggested. Buy only the assets we want, leave the debt behind. Brian had been quiet, reviewing documents on his laptop. The bankruptcy filing lists 140 clients still under contract with Monroe Industries, he said. If we acquired those contracts and converted even half of them, we'd double our revenue. What about Christopher? I asked. What happens to him in all this? He loses everything, Jordan said bluntly. His company, his assets, his reputation. Is that what you want? I thought about it honestly. Did I want Christopher to lose everything? A year ago maybe I would have. A year ago I was angry enough to want complete destruction. But now I just wanted to move forward. Build something lasting. Create the company I'd always envisioned. I want to make the best business decision for Phoenix Solutions, I said finally. Whether that hurts Christopher or helps him is irrelevant. He made his choices. I'm making mine. We spent the next 2 weeks putting together an offer. Phoenix Solutions would acquire Monroe Industries' client contracts, intellectual property, and office space for $8 million. A fraction of what the company was once worth. The bankruptcy court approved our bid. We were the only serious offer they received. In April, Phoenix Solutions officially acquired what was left of Monroe Industries. I walked into the Fifth Avenue office where I'd been fired. Where Christopher had humiliated me in front of my colleagues. Where my old life had ended. Now it was mine. The remaining Monroe Industries employees looked at me nervously. They knew who I was. They knew what Christopher had done. I'm not here for revenge, I told them in an all-hands meeting. I'm here to build something better. Everyone will have the opportunity to reapply for their positions at Phoenix Solutions. We're looking for people who want to do excellent work and treat their colleagues with respect. If that's you, you'll have a place here. 70% of them stayed. The rest, mostly Christopher's cronies, left on their own. We rebranded the Fifth Avenue office as Phoenix Solutions headquarters. Kept the Brooklyn office for our original team. Expanded into the space we'd acquired. By May, we had over 200 employees and projected annual revenue of $80 million. The divorce trial happened in June. Christopher showed up looking broken. He'd lost his company, his reputation, his home. Natasha was long gone. His parents weren't speaking to him. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. The trial lasted 3 days. Melissa presented evidence of the affair, the premeditated firing, Christopher's attempts to sabotage Phoenix Solutions, and his financial mismanagement of Monroe Industries. Christopher's attorney tried to argue that I'd contributed to his company's downfall. That I'd stolen his employees and clients. Melissa destroyed that argument with testimony from former Monroe Industries employees about Christopher's toxic leadership, with emails showing his poor business decisions, with financial records proving he'd driven the company into the ground all by himself. The judge ruled in my favor on everything. I got 65% of our marital assets. I got the penthouse on Fifth Avenue, which I immediately sold. I got compensation for emotional distress. I got everything Melissa had asked for and more. Christopher walked out of that courtroom with almost nothing except some debt and a damaged reputation. I walked out feeling free. The divorce was final in July, exactly 18 months after Christopher fired me. Phoenix Solutions threw a celebration party. Not for the divorce officially, but for our acquisition of Monroe Industries and our projected growth. 200 employees, plus clients and partners, filled a rented event space. Jordan was by my side, my hand in his. We'd been dating seriously for 6 months now, and it felt right. Easy. Nothing like the complicated mess my marriage had been. Speech. Someone called out. I stood up, looking around at all these people who'd believed in me, who'd built something amazing together. 18 months ago, I walked out of a boardroom thinking my life was over. I'd lost my job, my marriage, my identity. But 20 incredible people walked out with me. They believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And together we built something I'm incredibly proud of. I looked at the original 20 scattered throughout the room, most of them now executives in our expanded company. Phoenix Solutions isn't just a business, I continued. It's proof that loyalty matters. That treating people with respect works. That you can build success without destroying others. We've grown from 21 people in a borrowed office to over 200 employees in our own headquarters. We've gone from 0 clients to contracts worth $80 million. And we've done it the right way. The room applauded. So thank you, I concluded. Thank you for believing. Thank you for the hard work. Thank you for showing me that the worst moment of my life was actually the beginning of the best chapter. After the speech, Robert Hartwell pulled me aside. I have one more opportunity for you, he said. Another acquisition? I joked. Better. A merger. Hartwell Tech and Phoenix Solutions. We'd be equal partners, but the combined company would be worth over $200 million. I stared at him. Are you serious? Completely. You've proven that your business model works. I want to scale it. Together we could dominate this industry. I need to think about it, I said. Think fast, he grinned. Good opportunities don't wait. I found Jordan on the balcony looking out at the city lights. Robert just offered a merger, I told him. I know. He asked me to invest in the combined company. What do you think I should do? Jordan turned to face me. I think you should do whatever makes you happy, Gabrielle. Not what makes the most money. Not what looks best. What makes you happy. I thought about it. About happiness. About success. About what I actually wanted. I think I want to build the biggest, best business consulting company in the country, I said slowly. I think I want to prove that you can be successful without being ruthless. And I think I want to do it with people I trust. Then that's what you should do, Jordan said simply. He kissed me, and for the first time in years, I felt completely certain about my future. Christopher had tried to destroy me. Instead, he'd freed me to become everything I was meant to be. And I was just getting started. 1 year after the divorce was finalized, I stood in the main conference room of our new corporate headquarters. Not the Fifth Avenue building I'd acquired from Monroe Industries. I'd sold that. This was a brand new space in Hudson Yards, designed specifically for Phoenix Solutions. 10 floors of glass and light. An entire building dedicated to changing how business consulting was done. The merger with Hartwell Tech had gone through in January. Phoenix Solutions was now valued at $220 million. We had over 400 employees across 3 cities. Our client list included Fortune 500 companies, innovative startups, and everything in between. But more than the numbers, I was proud of what we'd built. Our employee satisfaction scores were the highest in the industry. Our turnover rate was under 5%. We'd been named one of the best places to work in America. We'd proven that treating people well and doing excellent work could be just as profitable as the cutthroat tactics Christopher had favored. Ready for the interview? Simone asked, poking her head into my office. 60 Minutes was doing a feature on Phoenix Solutions. On our rise from startup to industry leader. On how we changed the business consulting landscape. As ready as I'll ever be, I said. The interview was scheduled to film in our main office space, surrounded by my team. They wanted the authentic Phoenix Solutions experience, they'd said. The reporter was a woman named Janet who'd been doing business journalism for 30 years. Let's start with the obvious question, she began once the cameras were rolling. Your ex-husband Christopher Monroe filed for personal bankruptcy last month. Monroe Industries no longer exists except as a division of Phoenix Solutions. How does that make you feel? I'd known this question was coming. I'd prepared for it. Christopher's situation is a result of his own choices, I said carefully. I don't take pleasure in anyone's downfall. But I also won't apologize for Phoenix Solutions' success. We earned it through hard work and integrity. Some people say you got revenge, Janet pressed. Some people want every story to be about revenge, I replied. But that's not what this is. This is about building something meaningful. About creating a company culture that values people. About proving that ethical business practices can be profitable. Let's talk about that company culture, Janet said. You have policies that most corporations would call impractical. Unlimited vacation time. Generous parental leave. Profit sharing for all employees. How do you make that work financially? We make it work because happy, loyal employees do better work, I explained. Our retention rate means we don't waste money constantly training new people. Our employees go above and beyond because they know we value them. It's not charity. It's smart business. The interview lasted 2 hours. They filmed me working with my team, having strategy meetings, eating lunch in our cafeteria with regular employees. At the end, Janet asked one final question. If you could go back to that boardroom 18 months ago, knowing what you know now, would you change anything? I thought about it honestly. I wish I'd seen Christopher's true character sooner, I said. I wish I'd valued myself enough to leave before he pushed me out. But would I change what happened? No. Because that terrible day led to this incredible company. It led to these amazing people. It led to me becoming who I was always meant to be. After the interview crew left, I found myself back in my office, looking out at the New York skyline. My phone rang. Jordan. How did the interview go? He asked. Good, I think. Janet was tough but fair. Are you still coming to dinner tonight? I smiled. Wouldn't miss it. Jordan and I had been living together for 3 months now. Nothing dramatic, just a natural progression of our relationship. He'd proposed last month, but I'd asked him to wait. Not because I didn't want to marry him, but because I wanted to make sure I was choosing him for the right reasons. Not as a rebound from Christopher. Not as proof that I'd moved on. But because he was the right person for me. Actually, I said, I have an answer to your question from last month. My question? About getting married. The answer is yes. I want to marry you, Jordan. Not someday. Soon. Silence on the other end. Then his voice, thick with emotion. Are you sure? I'm sure. You've been patient and kind and supportive. You've never tried to change me or control me. You celebrate my success instead of competing with it. You're everything Christopher wasn't. And I love you. Really love you. Not the desperate, codependent love I had with Christopher. Something healthy and real. I love you too, he said. How about we celebrate tonight? Sounds perfect. That evening, my core team gathered at my apartment for our monthly dinner. The original 20 who'd walked out with me, plus a few key additions like Jordan and Robert. I have announcements, I said, raising my glass. 2 of them, actually. Everyone looked up. First, I'm getting married. Jordan proposed last month and I finally said yes today. Cheers erupted. Simone actually cried. Brian made a joke about checking the prenup. Second, I continued once they quieted down, I'm stepping back from day-to-day operations at Phoenix Solutions. The room went silent. Not leaving, I clarified quickly. Just transitioning to a chairman of the board role. Simone is going to become CEO. More silence. Then Simone's voice, small and shocked. What? You've been running operations for the past year while I've focused on growth strategy, I said. You're better at the daily management than I am. You care about the people. You make smart decisions. And I trust you completely. Gabby, I don't know what to say, Simone said, tears streaming down her face. Say yes, I replied. Say you'll continue building Phoenix Solutions into everything we dreamed it could be. Yes, she whispered. Then louder, yes. The celebration lasted until midnight. Plans for Simone's transition to CEO. Plans for my wedding. Plans for Phoenix Solutions' continued expansion. But eventually, everyone went home and it was just me and Jordan in my apartment. Are you sure about stepping back? He asked. Phoenix Solutions is your baby. Phoenix Solutions is our baby, I corrected. All of ours. And it's time I trusted the team to run it. I want to focus on other things. Maybe teach. Maybe write a book about ethical business practices. Maybe start a foundation to help other women rebuild after divorce or job loss. That sounds like you, Jordan smiled. I spent too many years defining myself through work, I said. First through being Christopher's wife and employee, then through building Phoenix Solutions. It's time I figured out who Gabrielle is outside of all that. I like Gabrielle, Jordan said, pulling me close. All versions of her. Later, lying in bed, I thought about the journey I'd been on. From the boardroom where Christopher destroyed my life to this moment of complete peace. I thought about the woman I'd been 18 months ago. Scared, broken, uncertain. That woman was gone. In her place was someone stronger, wiser, more sure of her own worth. Christopher had tried to destroy me. He'd humiliated me publicly. He'd stolen my job and my marriage. He tried to sabotage everything I built afterward. But he'd failed. Because you can't destroy someone who refuses to stay destroyed. I'd risen from those ashes and built something better than anything Christopher and I had created together. I'd surrounded myself with people who valued loyalty and integrity. I'd found love with someone who celebrated my strength instead of fearing it. Phoenix Solutions would continue growing. With Simone as CEO, I had no doubt it would thrive. And I would continue growing too. Into whoever I was meant to become next. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me check. I saw the 60 Minutes piece. You were right. About everything. I'm sorry for what I did to you, Christopher. I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I deleted it without responding. Christopher's apology didn't matter anymore. His regret changed nothing. I'd moved on. I'd won. Not because I'd destroyed him, though his company's failure was his own doing. I'd won because I'd built a life I loved. A company that mattered. Relationships that sustained me. I'd won because I was happy. And that was the best revenge of all.